Why can the bicycle stand up by itself? It was too tired. Ha ha.
Are you just coming up with these?
I wish,
It's
but
pretty
no.
impressive.
Here's another one. Why don't eggs tell jokes?
Some would
Anyone?
yolk. Only have one yolk.
They crack each other up. Ha ha.
I'm surprised there's anyone still in the audience.
Hey. Great. Although I think we might have lost people. But that's okay. All right. Shall we get started?
Cool.
All right, Lawrence, take it away.
Yeah, we're changing it up a little bit today. As Elena mentioned, it's been an interesting week in crypto, so she's gonna round everything up with a sort of macro view on what's going on, and I'll start with the updates on the testnet. So it is the last week, the last full week of the testnet. So we're gonna talk a bunch about that today. But we've had a lot of really great performance improvements from the team. So I want to go over both the improvements and some of the output of the improvements. We'll talk about the details when the engineering updates come through. So we had 7,300 nodes online as of this morning, which is great. It's actually more than we've had in recent weeks. So some new nodes spun up, possibly because it's easier to spin up a node now and sync it and all this stuff. And then here's the big one is that we have maxed out over the last week or so at 615,000 transactions a day, which is way more than we had been doing. And it's really a testament to the hard work of the engineering team. I'm sure some of you have noticed with some of the recent updates that we changed to have blocks be regulated by size and not number of transactions. So that's obviously a big factor in all this. But even then, like having a network that doesn't tip over when doing 615,000 transactions is no small feat, especially because we have a higher bar to clear for verifying our transactions. So obviously, because we use zero knowledge proofs, and there's an extra verification step involved with that. We're doing a huge number of transactions We're doing a huge number of transactions, period, for any crypto, for any blockchain. So for example, the Bitcoin network does like 300,000 a day, and we did 615,000 a few days ago on the testnet. And Ethereum does something on the order of 1 million a day. But we're doing those in zero knowledge, which is just completely unprecedented. Like nobody is doing that volume. So it's really exciting to see it. We feel that we have actually, the goal of phase 2 of the testnet was to stress test how many transactions we could do and understand the capacity of the network. And we feel like we have seen that pretty clearly now, and we're bringing it into the testnet, which I'm going to talk about in a minute here. So you'll see there has been some updates both on Twitter and on Discord around the end of phase 2. That's going to happen at block 274,000, which is expected to happen around 12:45 Pacific time on November 15th. So 4 days from today, 12:45 Pacific time, some plus or minus a few minutes, is going to be block 274,000. We talk about that in a current post on our blog. So if you want to check out the blog on ironfish.network, you can read more detail about how we came to that. And then the other big thing that I want to talk about is obviously phase 2 is ending, and we also have an announcement around phase 3, which is the starting date, and giving more detail on what it's going to be. So phase 3 is going to start January 18th. And that phase 3 is going to focus on something that we haven't tested yet and haven't even rolled out yet, which is our multi-asset capabilities. And so multi-asset, I know it's been talked about here and there at these meetings, and we're going to have another update today that gives more details. But multi-asset is our ability to mint and spend arbitrary tokens in privacy. So right now, everybody's doing transactions in the Iron token. But we are going to create, as part of the protocol, the ability to create any token you want and spend that, and have all the same privacy guarantees as the Iron token has. And that's really, really exciting because that's how you enable things like bridging and wrap tokens from other chains and a lot of other really cool functionality that we think is going to be big in our our goal here is essentially to be the privacy layer for all of Web3, and we think that this is going to be a absolute a key component of that. So we're really, really excited to test it. We are going to release more details in terms of structure and how you get points, but it is going to revolve around the multi-asset capabilities. We're going to talk a little bit about the game plan for how we're rolling that out soon, and that's going to be in the engineering section today. But that's sort of the high level, and again, that starts on January 18th. So we have essentially 2 months. We're going to go without a test net over the holiday season. Then we're going to come back in 2023 and spin up phase 3 and move towards mainnet launch. Next up, we're going to start talking about some engineering tests, and there's a lot of them since the last update. So we're going to start with Daniel's going to talk about syncing updates.
Thanks, Lawrence. Yeah, hopefully everyone has noticed an improvement in block syncing. Me and Derek and I have been working on improving syncing, and I just did some benchmarking this morning. And since the 1.49 release, we have more than 3x our syncing speed. And that's just for adding blocks. And we've also added some parallelization for adding and downloading blocks, which should, if you're multi-core, it should increase the sync speed even more. So anecdotally, I've been seeing probably a 4x increase in syncing my node. So I really hope people have noticed that. We have noticed a few people comment on it. And it pairs really well with our increased transaction volume. So yeah. I think next, Hugh is going to discuss our new fee estimation feature.
Yeah. So in the most recent release, we added a module that Yajun and I had been working on for fee estimation. So the fee estimation module is modeled after the way that base fees and gas tip estimations in ETH work. And so we're adding this module to try to give accurate estimates of the fees that will be necessary to get new transactions onto upcoming blocks. We're continuing to work on this and adapt the fee estimation to take block sizes into account and kind of factor in network demand better into the fee estimates. And speaking of block sizes, Mira will give an update on some changes there.
Yeah, thanks, Hugh. As part of our huge release of version 50 that you may have seen, we had a second consensus upgrade. In this consensus upgrade, we now enforce a maximum block size limit of 2 megabytes instead of our previous limit of 300 transactions per block. Now, this has allowed us to increase the number of transactions and blocks, as you may have seen, and we actually have, with the largest block having 1,412 transactions. And we also updated the mining manager to take this into account and pack transactions to optimize for the fee rate as well. Next, we're going to have Jason talk about API optimizations that we made.
Yeah. So as many of you probably noticed, checking the leaderboard over the past couple of months, the leaderboard just straight up did not work. It wouldn't load in many cases, especially for users who have a significant amount of events and points. So the team spent a week coming in at kind of all sides of our API and our leaderboard, putting in tons of optimizations. And now you'll see that the leaderboard loads pretty quickly in most cases. There's still kind of more work being done here, but it's a significant improvement from the many times people check the leaderboard and then go to Discord and complain that, you know, the leaderboard just wouldn't load at all. So I think we're pretty happy with that performance now. And these optimizations will also kind of continue on through when we ultimately start our phase 3 as well. So thanks to the whole team for kind of working on those various optimizations. There was a lot of different stuff to go into that. And so that's all about API optimizations. I think we're going to hand it off to Sanjey to talk about a little bit of the ambassador program.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So like Elena mentioned at our last pulse, we're winding down the ambassador program. We're definitely keeping our promise. All the ambassadors are going to be getting their NFTs. I think we're just waiting on a few people to give us their wallet addresses, and they should all be processed next week. But related to that, we actually have just hired 2 new marketing members to join our team starting next week. And they'll obviously be joining at the next monthly update, but they're going to be focused more on engaging the community. The ambassador program was our first attempt at that. Didn't go as well, I think, mutually as everyone had hoped, but definitely stay on the lookout for different ways we're going to help engage and bolster everyone in the community. And we do have someone who has joined. So Joe, I'm going to hand it over to you to introduce yourself.
Nice. Hey everybody, my name's Joe. I joined Ironfish team as a software engineer about 3-4 weeks ago. Before that, I worked as a software engineer at a couple different companies. I worked at a genetic sequencing company and Facebook for a while. And I was really interested in the crypto space, so I basically reached out and we interacted with Ironfish and we found a match. So we've been working on a variety of projects with a variety of team members at this point. The one that I think that we just announced, which will be helpful to you guys, is we basically just spun up a new node. I put an announcement in the announcements channel for anybody that wants to see it. If you're having any problems depositing, feel free to reference that post and follow the commands, and it should help you connect to peers to be able to submit your deposits and transactions. I think that's it for me. And we're gonna move over to our current and ongoing projects, and Matt's going to kick us off with the multi-asset stuff that Lawrence was talking about earlier.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, so as Lawrence and Joe have mentioned, and I think some of you have probably heard about this in previous updates, I've been working with Rohan on the multi-asset project, which is allowing arbitrary assets either bridged from other chains or just native custom assets on the Ironfish network. I think last time I spoke, we had just wrapped up the research phase, and so now we're deep in the production phase of building all the code and getting everything ready to go. It's going to be a long process, but right now we're working on sort of the zero knowledge proofs for the minting and the burning of the assets right now. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for more updates on that, and I will pass it off to Hugh, who's going to talk about some wallet stuff.
Thanks, Matt. So as we're drawing towards the end of phase 2, and we've made changes to kind of increase the volume of transactions, we've been seeing a lot more transactions, and that's helping to surface some bugs in the wallet code. So we're aware of a lot of issues with incorrect or unexpected balances and issues making deposits. So we're working hard to fix these issues as we're heading into the very end of phase 2 and trying to make sure that everyone can get their deposits in. And also, of course, improving the wallet for the future as well. And for more on deposits, I'll turn it over to Jason.
Yeah, so as many of you know, we're about to end phase 2, and as part of that, we will no longer be accepting deposits. However, saying that, we fully understand that there are users who are still facing issues basically depositing their iron. It looks like lots of iron after our recent optimizations of the leaderboard and increasing the block size to about 2 megabytes has caused a significant more amount of iron to be deposited. But that doesn't mean we still don't understand that there are more issues. So we have a good portion of the team working on making sure to fix some of these like final iron depositing issues in time to allow people to deposit the rest of their iron. So that's going to involve fixing some of our sinker and crediting, because you might notice occasionally the crediting of your deposits takes a long time to reach the leaderboard. That's being worked on. Some users are having issues with the deposit all command crashing and exiting. That's being worked on. There are a couple wallet bugs that cause people's balances to look wonky and sometimes go negative. That's being worked on. So all of these are kind of coming together. We're trying to fix these kind of like last couple issues. Oh, and then most importantly, a lot of users got manual crediting because they submitted PRs, they reported bugs. I heard a couple people ask me personally last night, like, why haven't I gotten those points yet? That's also being worked on. So all of these are hopefully going to get resolved fairly soon so that you can get your final points for phase 2. So I just appreciate your patience. We're working really hard to get these issues fixed, and we're going to probably be turning up the maximum amount of deposit here pretty shortly to just help with the deficit, especially to account for like the issues with depositing toward the end. So that way, when we do get the issues fixed and we get them deployed as soon as possible, we can kind of like turn up the deposit amount and allow people that have like a fairly large deficit of iron to at least get their iron deposited. So this is like a huge priority to the team. We know that we're coming to an end. We know you want this. We're not like ignoring you. We're working very hard on solving these problems, and we'll be as communicative as possible each time we get an issue resolved. And just to reiterate something that got said earlier about this exact topic that Joe mentioned, we have a new secondary Bootstrap node. It's not really a Bootstrap node, but you connect to it like a Bootstrap node. And if you're having trouble depositing, just connect to that and then try to trigger your deposits. That node is very healthy. It has the whole blockchain. It'll help you get your transactions for your deposits gossiped out fairly quickly. So if you are having issues, please, 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 you can look at our announcements. You can run your start command. It'll connect to that node, and that might help you. It's not guaranteed because we still have these other issues we're working on. So that's all I have to say about that. I hope we have these issues resolved in an extremely timely manner for you all. And then I think we're just that's all I have. I'm gonna hand it over to Elena to send us off.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of conclude this off, but first I kind of want to address all of you guys about the recent events that have been happening in crypto, primarily around FTX. I really hope that none of you were too badly affected. It's really, really heartbreaking to see that crypto as a community, is taking such a huge hit once again, and once again from irresponsible actors who are hurting real people. But I also want to say that it's highlighting some of the things that we're working here in Ironfish. It's highlighting the need to build crypto in a trustless, verifiable way and bringing real utility to its users. And so we are all very excited to build this privacy layer that we see Ironfish to be. And so we're very, very excited for phase 3 in particular, because it kind of brings that vision together. We're all very excited to get to mainnet as well. And I just wanted to say that Ironfish as a team is not affected in any way from what is happening with FTX right now. As a reminder, we work in absolute transparency. You can always see exactly what the team was working on. Everything we do is out in the open. Our code base is entirely open. We do these updates. We're available on Discord. We read your GitHub issues. We're very, very transparent about everything that we do, and that's how we believe the company should run. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of reiterate again that we're kind of excited for phase 3 for those particular reasons. It's kind of like the last chapter. Internally, the team has been working so incredibly hard, and I'm really proud of the team and all the work that you guys have been putting in, because so many bugs have been fixed, so many optimizations have been brought in. We are working on some of the last big features that we need to get done before a mainnet launch. MASP is definitely, the multi-asset project is definitely one of the bigger ones. And it's really exciting to see all of it come together. And so, every single time we do a phase, we kind of have a goal for why we're doing this phase. For phase 2 in particular, we really wanted to stress test the system. We set up incentives such that we had the maximum number of nodes, maximum number of transactions. And at 600,000 transactions a day, I mean, that's roughly half of Ethereum's volume altogether. And kind of what Lauren said earlier, all those transactions are based on zero knowledge proofs, which no blockchain has ever done before in every single one of its transactions like that. So again, excited for phase 3 because it kind of brings the entire vision together. And I really want to thank you guys, the community, for making this all happen. Again, it's really inspiring, truly inspiring to see people use Ironfish and to give us feedback and to run nodes all across the world and to actually run these transactions. You're making this happen, which is amazing. I think we're actually running the biggest layer 1 testnet that's ever been run from everything that we can tell. And it's all thanks to you guys. So thank you. And with that, I think we can close it off. I hope you guys have a really great Friday. I hope that the stress of being in the crypto community will not, leave you in a bad spot. It is pretty important to kind of manage your own psychology in the space. And I hope you guys are doing well there. All right. And with that, I think we're going to close it off. Happy Friday, everyone. And hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.